Hello everyone, thank you for joining. Well, nobody's watching yet. They were just waiting, so I'm waiting to see some eyes watching. I will also be waiting for 5 to 10 minutes to see if more people arrive before we get into the middle of things. So nobody is at the moment. Okay, hello, I see somebody watching. Please say hello in the chat if you're there. We are waiting for more people to join before we are starting to go through the course and also answer some questions. Some more people should join because it was showing they are waiting. Otherwise, we will just have to get started and see if more people join in the meantime. Because this live will also go on YouTube, so I don't want to be a lot of awkward silence in there. Hello, hello. One more person joined. Hello. Do say hello in the chat, guys, if you're here and watching. Also, if you didn't already click the like button, I would appreciate if you can click the like button so YouTube shows this. Oh, hello, Roxana. How are you? Hello, Ugand. I hope I pronounce your name right. How are you today? So what we're going to be doing is, even if there are only two people at the moment, two persons, I want to explain that the way we will approach it is, if you have any questions regarding JavaScript that are not directly related to the course we're going through, then I will basically compile them in a document here. So if you have any questions regarding JavaScript and you put them in the chat and they're not related to the course, then I will put them in this document and I will try to answer them at the end of the live. If you have any questions that are related to the course we're going through, I'm going to try and answer all of them during the live. Also, if you have any questions about my experience becoming a self-taught developer, any personal questions, I will also answer those as well. And obviously, if you know anybody that would like this type of content, do share with anybody that you know. So because I don't see any more people starting joining at the moment, I will start going to the course, but I will keep an eye on the questions. So let me change to the course. And this course is starting with comments in JavaScript. And we use comment basically to kind of explain that usually we try to write code that is easily understandable for anybody that comes after us. But sometimes code is getting complicated, and even you might have problems understanding your own code later on. So what you want to do is put comments throughout the code where something would be harder to understand later on. So now here they show us how you write code. If there is just a one line comment, you just use these two lines. And if you want a multi-line one, you have to use something like this. Now the thing is, for us, we are lucky because we are if you're using Visual Studio at least, and probably in other editors as well, we can just write something like this is a function, right? We select it, and if we hit now on Mac command option, I think it was command option, oh no, not command option, command and slash, then it will basically comment it. So you want to hit the command button and slash, and it will comment that one line. And if it's on 2 lines, it will still work. So let's say that you have something else here, and you select it, and you press command slash, and it selects it, but it does it as 2 lines. But you can also do it like they say here. You can just write something like this, and don't need this here, and you just put this, instead of putting all this line, you can just put this and this at the end, right? And it will still be commented, right? But it is good to remember as well how to comment something without having an editor to rely on. So we will go through this. They ask us to write a comment that it has less 5 letters, and a comment like this that is at least 5 letters. So let's go through this one. Oops, I run the test before writing. So this is a comment, and then we want to write this, and this is a comment on 2 lines, right? And then we run, and we basically have the first part of basic JavaScript done. So now, after everything that we do, I will check if there's any comments. We have one more person joining. Hello, please say hello in the chat if you're there, and if you want to interact with me. Any questions that you have, do let me know. So, going back to the course, here it's talking about JavaScript variables. And they say in computer science, data is anything that is meaningful to a computer. JavaScript provides 8 different data types, which are undefined, null, boolean, string, symbol, big int, which being int I didn't use it that much, number, and object. For example, computers distinguish between numbers such as number 12 and strings such as 12, which is a string, dog, or 123 cats, which are collection of characters. Computers can perform mathematical operations on a number, but not on a string. Variables allow computers to store and manipulate data in a dynamic fashion. They do this by using a label to point to the data rather than using the data itself. Because if you have something like a number 2, you don't want to have keep using that number 2 every time, because you kind of have to remember it and say, oh, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. And you want to be able to use it dynamically. So that's why you store it in a variable. So it says any of these data types that we talked about here can be stored in the variables. Variables are similar to the x and y variables that we have used in mathematics, which means they are a simple name to represent the data we want to refer to. Computer variables differ from mathematical variables in that they can store different values at different times. So the values can change depending on where you are in the program. So it says we will tell JavaScript to create or declare a variable by putting the keyword var. Now I want to mention here that in modern JavaScript, most people, unless they have been working with JavaScript for a while and they just got so used to var, they don't use var anymore. They use let for variables that they want to change the value of the variable at some point, and they use const if that variable shouldn't change its value at any point, so it shouldn't be able to be changed. Anyway, here they say var our name, and if you declare it like this, var our name, it will declare this variable, so this variable will exist, but at this point it will not have any value, it will be undefined. So if I write here var our name, and then I console log our name, it will tell me undefined, because while it exists in memory, it is just some kind of address, like a storage space, but it doesn't have any value, so it's undefined. So it says creates a variable called our name. In JavaScript, we end statements with semicolons. Now, at this point in time, a lot of times you won't need the semicolon anymore, but it is a good practice to still use it. And there's a lot of memes about this one, because people keep forgetting it, and they don't know why their program doesn't work. So it says variables name can be made up of numbers, letters, and $sign or underscore, but may not contain spaces. So you can have a variable that is like a sentence. It has to be compact. You can have like 2 words in a variable. So here it says use the var keywords to the var keyword to create a variable called my name. Hint: look at our name example above if you get stuck. And I know this is like starting from easy, so you may get bored a little bit at the beginning if you already started going to JavaScript, but it is we are going to go through this course, not all of it in this live. It's going to be a lot of lives, but it does go a lot in depth, so you will learn a lot if you keep joining the lives, and I'm sure even I'm going to learn some things that I don't know already. So we just go in here at the code, and we want to declare var my name, right? We just say var my name. Okay, and we run this, and we're going to 2%. So now I'm going to see if there are any questions. I see 2 more people joined, 3 more people. We have 5 people at the moment. Welcome everybody. If you didn't hit the like button already, and you think this will be helpful to you, please hit the like button so that YouTube knows that this is helpful content and you enjoy it, and more people like yourself can get recommended the content, and we can create a bigger community. Hello Abdullah, welcome to the live. I hope you're going to be enjoying. Hello Vishal, I do hope I pronounce your names right. Do let me know if I am not pronouncing them right. Also, guys, if you know anybody else that is starting to learn JavaScript or want to get better at some point, do recommend them these lives. And I want to make it clear that we will be going through all this course, and after this course, which will go advanced at some point when we're later in the course, we will be going through some other courses as well, and we will learn about React as well. I also gonna be having lives at some point where I'm going to be solving coding challenges, and you can ask me questions as well. Also, if you're studying JavaScript on your own as well, and if you have any questions about something that you're studying at the moment, do send the questions in, and I will try to answer them live if I can. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to go back to the course, and here they're saying storing values with the assignment operator. So now we go where we don't have just an empty variable that is undefined. We will give a value that will be stored in that variable. So it says in JavaScript you can store a value in a variable with the assignment operator. So in mathematics, if you say 2 equals 2, it's like, oh, these 2 things are equal. But in JavaScript, it's not like that. If you want to check if 2 things are equal, then you use three times the equal sign. But if you want to assign something to a variable, a value, then you use the equal sign, right? So it's like that. Once you have declared, you can say only this, my variable equal 5. This is not a good practice, right? You should, but if you already declare it like var my variable, then you can say something like my variable equals 5, and then you will give it the value 5. So it says this assigns the number value 5 to my variable. If there are any calculations to the right of the equal operator, those are performed before the value is assigned to the variable on the left of the operator. So you could have something like my variable equal with 5 multiplied by 2 minus 3. So then all these math operations will be done first before the value of whatever math operations are in here, whatever the value that is whatever the value of this expression is will be calculated first before it's going to into my variable, right? So we have something like var my var and my var equals 5. It's good to know that you can also say immediately var my var equals 5 if you want to give it a value as soon as you declare it, right? So it says first this code creates a variable named my var, then the code assigns 5 to my var. Now if my var appears again in the code, the program will treat it as if it is 5. Because once you give it a value, then when you use it in the code, if you say something like console log, which console log is something used to log things in the console, if you say console log my var or 5, and you already gave the value 5 to my var, then my var will be treated as 5 because that's the value that it has in it. So when you say console log my var or 5, it will be 25. If you say console log my var or multiply by 10, then you get 50, right? Because this will be always 5 until you change it, if you change it at some point. So then it says assign the value 7 to variable a. You should not change the code above the specified comment. So we should not be changing this code. They just wanted to give the value 5. So like we saw it with the equal operator, and you just say a equals 5, and that's it. That's it for this one, right? So let's run it. Oh, I didn't remember right. It says give the value of 7. I think I remain stuck with the 5. So let's give it 7 and run it. Okay. Let me see if there's any questions. Hello Nakanji, Jafari, hello. Welcome to the stream. Okay. If you do enjoy the live, do give it a like so more people can see it. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one. So now here is saying after a value is assigned to a variable using the assignment operator, which is equal, you can assign the value of that variable to another variable using the assignment operator. So you can have something like var my var, and then you say my var equals 5. And once this is 5, then you can declare one that's var my num, which is another one. And then if you want to give a value to this one and you want to have the same value as my var, then you can just say my num equals my var, and then my num will get whatever the value is in this variable. So now they just going through what happened here. So we know what happened here. We have created a variable, we have gave it a value, right? Then we have created another variable, and we wanted to give the same value to that variable that is in that variable. So we assume that we don't. We would assume that we don't know what value is in the variable, but we want this one to have the same. So that's how we assign. We just say my num equals my var, and by equals mean assign that value, right? And here it says that in next exercise we need to assign the contents of a to variable b. So as you can see, we have a var a, we give it a value of 7, and then they ask us to give to b the same value that it is in a. And that doesn't mean to say b equals 7. We want to give it something like that, right? So we just show us the code, and oh my god, I am so sorry. Roxana, I am so sorry, and everybody that has been watching, I forgot to change the. I should not change it back to only showing me, because I might forget about it, but I'm gonna try to remember. So sorry, I will go back. So basically, what we have been discussing here is that if you have a value in a variable, sorry about that again. You have a variable declared, and then you give it a value, then you declare another value. Then if you want this variable to get the same value that you have in this variable, you just say my num equals my var. So you basically what you're putting the value of this the value of my var, you put it in my num. So basically my num will get the same value that is in my var at the moment. and they ask us to assign the contents of A to variable B in this code. So what's happening here? We declare a variable A, we give the value of 7 to A, and then that's what they ask us to do, to give to B the same value that A has at the moment. So what we're saying is, say B, assign to B the value of A, right? So after we do that, B will also have the value of 7 because it gets the value that is stored inside A. So if you run it, then we're going to the next step. No problem, Roxana. So let's see what's next. They say it is common to initialize. This is something that I was talking about before. It is common to initialize a variable to an initial value in the same line as it is declared. So when you declare it, you can give it a value at the same time. So you just say var my var equals 0, right? So here it says create a new variable called my var and assign it its initial value of 0. Then they ask us define a variable A. And guys, if you are just at the beginning of JavaScript and you didn't learn anything about it at all, then do let me know if I'm skipping over some things, and I will try to get back and explain it better. So now they ask us to define a variable A with var and initialize it to a value of 9. So they want us to do in the same line the defining of the variable and the initialization, right? So we say var A equals 9, right? Var A equals 9, and we run it and it works. Okay, so let's go on the next one. Now it says understanding uninitialized variables. It says when JavaScript variables are declared, they have an initial value of undefined, which is something we were discussing before. If you do a mathematical operation on an undefined variable, your result will be none, which none means not a number. So basically, if you're kind of trying to multiply a number with something that is undefined, it will give you none, which is another data type, which means not a number, because you can multiply undefined with a number, right? Or add it. If you concatenate a string with an undefined variable, you will get a literal string of undefined. And I was under the impression that you will actually get the value of the string plus undefined. So let me test that. Terminal, new terminal, and I will say console log, and what I want to do is console log undefined plus some string, and they say that this should return a string that has undefined in it. I was under the impression that will actually return undefined some string in a string, but let's see what it does. So what I will say is say node Freecodecamp, and it is, like I said, it's basically putting undefined in the string and then added some string or whatever it is this string after that. But this is basically a string, just the same string with undefined at the beginning. So what's saying here is if I basically initialize a variable like var a and I don't give it any value, this will actually be undefined. So if I say console log, which basically logs things in the console, and I say console log a plus something, a will be undefined here, and you will see that it will get the same thing like when I said undefined plus some string. You still get undefined some string because the value of this is undefined at the moment. It says initialize the three variables a, b, and c with 5, 10, and IMA respectively, so that they will not be undefined. Okay, so it says 5, 10, and IMA. So I'm saying this should be 5, right? Equals 5. This is equal 10. And it was saying I am right. Yeah. So in here, the way you define a string, you either use something like this, or something like this. Which, when you use something like this, you can. It's something called template literals, where you can use dynamic variables inside the string. But I will not go ahead. I will explain that when we get to it. So here, I'm just making a string that has I am and then I'm running it, and that's what they wanted us to do. Okay, so it is possible that not many people are watching now, because a lot of the people that did want to watch this live already know some JavaScript, so this is just starting from the basics. I didn't want to start somewhere in the middle of the course, so we will go from the beginning to the end. So if somebody wants to watch from the beginning to the end, they can do that. Okay, so let me remove this because we don't need it anymore. And let's say understanding case sensitive in variables. In JavaScript, all variables and function names are case sensitive. This means that capitalization matters. So if you write a variable names with small letters, or you have a big letter somewhere in the name, then that matters. Like something like var let me pass, maybe it will not be the same thing as var let me pass. So it does matter to have the correct capitalization. So when you console log this let me pass, you have to write it exactly as you have it declared. And a lot of times when you have errors, it is maybe because you misspelled something, you didn't write it correctly. So always check misspelling, capitalization, and stuff like that. And of course commas and all that stuff. Okay, and it says my var is not the same as my var nor my var. It is possible to have multiple distinct variables with the same name, so basically when you read it, it sounds the same, but a different casing. It is strongly recommended that for the sake of clarity, you do not use this language feature. So for the sake of clarity, you shouldn't have in the same program a lot of variables that basically sound the same when you read them. They're just written differently, because you will get very confusing. Then it says best practice, and it's good to know these best practice ways of writing code. It says write variable names in JavaScript in camel case. In camel case, multi-word variables names have the first word in lowercase. So the first word, like I have here, is in lowercase, and the first letter of each subsequent word is capitalized, like I put here. Every next word in the variable name is capitalized. Now there are two ways that I use in JavaScript, and a lot of people use. Is either this, which is called camel case, and then you have this way of writing variables where you use an underscore, right? Something like that. So these are good ways of writing them. In our projects our work, what we're doing, we're using this way of writing variables with underscore on the back end, and we use camel case like this on the front end. That way it's easily recognizable when you are in the back end and when you are in the front end in your project, right? So it says modify the existing declaration and assignments so their names use camel case. Do not create any new variables. So let's go to the code, and we have to change this to actually be right. Variable declaration, variable assignments. So what I want to do is change this. Now the first one, like we know from there, it should be lowercase. Studly. What is this? I don't know what word is this, but studly. And then you have cap and var. I think this should be it. Proper camel case, this is already correct. And here I just have to change the first letter to lowercase, and then we have to change this to this. We have to change this to this. As you can see, I'm just changing to the format that we were talking about. And here you need title, case, and God. And do let me know if you are keeping up with what I'm talking about here. So let's run it. And yeah, that was correct. Okay, let's go. I see that there's a new person that joined the live or just came back. If you didn't already like the live, do give it a like, please, so more people can see it and they can also learn. And basically what I want to do is kind of create a community, so more questions are getting sent and we can talk about more stuff. So because even if somebody else asks questions, you may actually not know that thing as well. So me explaining it or explaining something, it will benefit you as well if you're just learning JavaScript. And also, if you're interested to see more of these lives in the future, hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon, and then YouTube will immediately show when I'm scheduling new lives. All right, let's go further. And basic JavaScript. Add two numbers with JavaScript. Now it says number is a data type in JavaScript which represents numeric data. Now let's try to add two numbers using JavaScript. JavaScript uses the plus symbol as an addition operator, then placed between two numbers. So it's just like math. So if you say my var equals 5 plus 10, then this will become 15 because it's just math, right? So it's saying in the code that they give us, change the 0 so that the sum will equal to 20. So what we want to do is change the 0 to something that will make this sum be 20. So we just need to change it with 10, right? Let's run it and go further. Okay. Again, basic JavaScript, subtract one number from another with JavaScript, and obviously this is self-explanatory. It's the same like math, like we said with plus. So basically, now they ask us change the 0 so the difference is 12. So in the code, we need to change this 0 to something else so that this difference is 12. So it will be 20, 23, 33, I think, right? It says the difference should be 12, right? So we need to extract 33 from 45 to get 12, okay? Let's go to the next challenge. Now we have multiplication. This is the same. We don't have to explain it. It's the same as math. And it's saying change the 0 so that the product will equal 80. So let's go to the code. And they want this product to be 80. So to be 80, we just need to change this to 10, and 8 multiplied by 10 will give us 80, right? Let's go to the next one. Hello, Yohombu, and welcome to the live. What is going on here? Oh, sorry, I'm just seeing this thing appearing here. I just need to. Yes, welcome to the live, Yohombu. I'm glad you're here. If you didn't already like the live, give it a like so more people can see it. And do let me know if you have any questions about JavaScript. I'm collecting them if they're not pertaining to the course. I'm collecting them and answering at the end. If they are about the course, I will answer them as you ask them, right? So going back, again, we have here division. And they say change the 0 so that the quotient, so whatever like the operation should equal, the result should equal to 2. So let's see, change the 0 so that this is 2. So 66 divided by what is 2 is 33, right? So we should get 2. Okay. Now it says basic JavaScript. Increment a number with JavaScript. You can easily increment or add one to a variable. So basically whatever value is in a variable, you can increase it by using the variable name and then you put plus plus. So you can either say if the variable is let me pass and is equal to 4 and you want it to increase it by 1, I'm going to put here a console log let me pass. And do remember that this needs to be a var or a let if you want to change its value. If it's a const, you would not be able to change its value at all. Now the thing is, while they're talking with var here, and we're probably gonna have to use var in here, when I explain here I want to change to let, because I think you guys should as well change just to let and const. Don't use var, because var has some side effects that will make you confused at some points during JavaScript. So just change to let when it's a variable that you want to change at some point, and const if the variable shouldn't be changed. So let me console log this, and you can see that at the moment if I run this, it will give us 4 because it is 4. Now if you want to increase it by 1, what they're saying here, you can either say let me pass and you want to give it another value, and basically what you want to do is let me pass plus 1. So you want in let me pass, you want to store whatever it is now plus 1. So now after this operation, if we console log the value, you will see that it is fine. It is 5, right? So let me clear this and show you that instead of saying this, we can just say let me pass plus plus, and this will just increase the value inside let me pass with 1. So if I run this now, you get 5, right? You also have minus minus, which minus minus basically subtract 1, and you will see it after this one, but I will exemplify it now, right? So if I clear this, you would see that now when I console log let me pass, it will be 3 because it has subtracted 1 from the value when you have used minus minus, right? So let's go back here, and it says I++ is the equivalent of I equals I plus 1, which I exemplified. Now it says the entire line becomes I++, eliminating the need for the equal sign. Now it says change the code to use the plus plus operator on my var in this code. So instead of saying my var equals my var plus 1, we will just say my var plus plus. Okay? Let's go to the next challenge, which the next challenge should be basically what I explained before. If you want to decrease it just by 1, you use the minus minus, which is the equivalent of I equals I minus 1, I being the variable that we're working with. So it says change the code to use minus minus operator on my var. Go into the code. Instead of saying my var equals my var minus 1, now I want to explain that this only happens when you just have to increase by 1 or decrease by 1. If you have to increase by more than 1, this will not work. This only works if you just want to increase by 1. Okay, so here we want to subtract 1, so we just say my var minus minus, and we run it. Okay? Okay, I'm just checking if there are any questions. There are not any questions, so I will continue. Okay, so now it says create decimal numbers with JavaScript. We can store decimal numbers in variables too. Decimal numbers are sometimes referred to as floating point numbers or floats. So basically, there are numbers that they're not just like 2 or 3, they have something after a comma, so something like 3.50 or 3.73 or something like that. Not all real numbers can accurately be represented in floating points. This can lead to rounding errors, and it says some details here. We will not go into details here because this... Okay, let's just open it and see what they say. Okay, they send us to Wikipedia, which doesn't make any sense to read here, but if you want, you can go at this particular one and go and read that article, or I can actually post it. in the comments if you want to give it a read after the live. Okay, so let's go back, and it says create a variable myDecimal and give it a decimal value with a fractional part. Exemplify 5.7. So but what does it say? Oh, we have to create another one called myDecimal, because this is their decimal, and we have to create var myDecimal, and we have to create one of these things that exemplified here, decimal numbers, right? So it's basically something that has something after the comma or the dot. So let's say 4.78, right? And put this here. So let's run it and go further. Okay. It says multiply to decimal with JavaScript. So in JavaScript you can also perform calculations with decimal numbers, just like whole numbers. So basically the same way you can say 2 multiplied by 5, you can say 2.5 multiplied by 3.7, right? This is just math. So let's multiply to decimal to get together product. Change the 0, 0 so that the product will be equal to 5.0. So go into the code. We have to get change 0, 0 so that the product should be 50, right? So to be 50, then we need to change this to what? 2 multiplied by what give you 50? It's multiplied by 2.5, right? So let's run it. Legend, wait for it, Dari. Yeah, I liked How I Met Your Mother as well. Okay, let's go next. And I don't know how often I should change. I should check if there are questions, but I am doing my best. Okay, it says divide one decimal by another with JavaScript. So again, this is just the same thing that we did with numbers that were not decimal, with integers. So basically we just have to find what we have to put here to get what value. We should get the value 2.2. So what number divided by 2 give you 2.2 is 4.4, right? So we're changing this to 4.4 and run it. Okay, and we are 40%. Now in basic JavaScript we should be able to go through a lot of it today, maybe all of it if you guys are sticking around. If not, we will continue in the next live. Let me just have a bit of coffee. Okay. Okay, so it says finding a reminder in JavaScript. So now we're learning about the modulo operator, which basically the modulo operators give you the reminder of a division. So if you have something like 5 divided by 2, 5 divided by 2, if you don't want to get 2.5 but you want to see how many times 2 is in 5 and what is the reminder, then 5 divided by 2 is basically 2, because you have 2 times 2 in 5, and that gives you 4, and then there's a reminder of 1 which cannot be divided by 2, so that is the reminder. So that is what this modulo operator will give you, the reminder of a division. So this is exactly I see they're explaining with the same number that I explained. So 5 modulo 2 is 1, because mathfloor, I don't know why they're starting to explain here with mathfloor when they have not explained yet what mathfloor is. But anyway, it is because when you divide by 2, you basically have 2 times 2 in 5, and then you have a reminder of 1. Okay. In mathematics, a number can be checked to be even or odd by checking the remainder of the division by the number of 2. So basically what's happening, if you're checking the modulo of a number and it is 1, that means the number is odd, because it means there's a remainder of 1 when you try to divide it by 2. If you divide it by, if the remainder is 0, it means the number is even, because 2 is like basically a number of times in it without any reminder, right? So then the number will be even. So you will see that you will check a lot of time in JavaScript if a number is odd or even using the modulo operator. Okay, so it says the reminder operator is sometimes incorrectly referred to as the modulus operator. It is very similar to modulus but does not work properly with negative numbers. I thought this was the modulus operator. Even me, I didn't know that this is the reminder operator and there's another modulus operator. I thought this was the modulus operator. So it says set reminder equal to the remainder of 11 divided by 3 using the reminder operator. So var remainder equals 11 remainder 3. Okay. Let's go to the next one. And by the way, where are you guys in JavaScript? If you're still watching, how far are you into JavaScript? Is this just boring to you at the moment? I mean, I will have to go from the beginning because if somebody is joining us that didn't start with JavaScript, then we're gonna get to advance. So I'm sorry if this is boring, but I think it is good to go back to the basics sometimes as well, because sometimes we can forget them. Like you saw, even me, I was there confused because I thought that was the modulus operator. Anyway, here it says compound assignment with augmented addition. It says in programming it is common to use assignments to modify the contents of a variable. Remember that everything to the right of the equal sign is evaluated first. So if there's an operation here, the operation, all that expression is evaluated first, and only after that the value is put into the left part, right? So it says my var equals my var plus 5 to add 5 to my var, right? Since this is such a common pattern, there are operators which do both the mathematical operation and assignments in one step. So you see, instead of writing something like my var equals my var plus 5, you can write something like that. And you don't have to do that if you find it confusing, but it can shorten your code. So if you have something like var my var equals 1 and you want to add 5 to it, instead of saying my var equals my var plus 5, you can just say my var plus equals 5, and this will evaluate to my var equals my var plus 5. Okay, so then this will return 6 because it has added 5, right? So it says convert the assignments for A, B, and C to use the plus equals operator. So in the code, instead of having these two things, what we're going to do is going to say A plus, B plus, C plus, all of this, A plus equals, and then we just remove the variable from here, right? We just keep the value that it is added to the variable. Okay, so A plus equals 12, which means A equals A plus 12, B plus equals 9, B equals B plus 9, and so on. Okay, submit and go to the next challenge. Okay, compound assignment with augmented subtraction, and this is the same thing as we saw before for addition, but this one is for subtraction. So instead of saying something like we subtract from my var, so we give to the value my var minus 5, so we subtract 5. Instead of writing this, we can write the minus here. So we say my var minus equal 5, which is equivalent to my var equals my var minus 5. So then it says to convert this again, and again we do the same thing like we did before. We just put the minus here, and then we just remove the variable from this side of the operation. We just keep the value that it is subtracted, right? Sorry about that. Okay, let's remove it. So again, like we said, I'm not going to explain all of them, but a minus equals 6 is the same thing like a equals a minus 6, which means subtracting 6, right? So let's run them. And we are at 17% at the moment. Okay. Again, this is the same thing with multiplication from before, so I'm not going to go through all of it like I went for all of them, because it's basically the same. Instead of writing the long way, you just put the operator before the equal, and then you just remove the variable from the other side of the operation, right? So going to the code, we're just going to put multiply here, and we remove the variable from this side, right? By the way, never name your variables like that. I don't know why they exemplify with variables named like that, because they may get you used to name them like that. Never name them like that. When you use when you are working on front end or back end or anywhere, try to give your variables names as descriptive as possible, so that people know, okay, what value is stored in this variable, for what it is used. Don't write names variables like var Marian. Don't use your name, or don't use something descriptive, okay? But anyway, we just have to remove the variable from here, so it's basically we just keep the value by which it is multiplied, okay? So let's run it and go to the next challenge, okay? Okay, so there is only one person left watching. Well, people have their things to do, or maybe they already know all the stuff that we're going through at the moment. So I will keep going until I see any questions or something like that, okay? And this is again for divisions. I'm not going to explain it again, it's the same thing. We just have to go through this. We put the divider before the equal, and we just remove the variable from this side, so like this, okay? So basically this a divide equals 12 is the same thing as a equals a divided by 12, okay? So if you want to give to the value of a is value divided by 12, you can just say a divide equal 12, and that will divide it by 12, okay? Okay, now it says declare string variables, and they say previously we have used this code var my name equals your name. Why would be my name equals to your name? They are trying to be funny. Okay, your name is called a string literal. It is a string because it is a series of 0 or more characters enclosed in single or double quotes, like I exemplified before. It's either single quotes like this, or double quotes like this. It can also be this, but this will be something further away into JavaScript, where if you use this, then you can actually make a dynamic string where you can use basically math operations within it. So if I say something like const value of math equals, and I want to basically, I have two variables, const number 1 equals 10, right? And const number 2 equals 20, okay? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to console log here. I'm going to console log value of math. Now at the moment it is empty, but this is the point with this kind of string that basically have backticks. You can basically do math operations within them. So within a normal string, it is just a normal string where you basically just give it a value and it will remain like that. But with template literals like that, what you can do is says the value of the sum is, and then you can use like a $sign and these two things, and inside here you can say number one, so basically number one, which is a variable that you have, plus number two. And what this will do is will get the value from number one and number two, it will add them, and then it will add it into the string. So now the string is actually, the value of the sum is 30, because it will make this sum and then put it in the string. Okay, so let me save and run it. Okay, the value of the sum is 30. So I just wanted to explain this. This will come somewhere later, but I want to show you because it is interesting. Okay, I will just remove this for now. Okay, and clear this. Okay, so it says create two new string variables, my first name and my last name, and assign them the values of your first and last name respectively. Okay, so it says var my first name equals Marian Silvio, and then var my last name equals Dalma Cel. Okay, and that's it. Okay, let's go further. And I'm just checking if there are any questions. Okay, now it says escaping literal quotes in strings. When you're defining a string, you must start and end with single or double quotes like we just saw. What happens when you need a literal quote or this inside of your string? Because I mean, let's see what happens if you write a string like this. Let string equals, and you use these ones and you say some string, but you need to use this sign, you need to use it inside here because you want to show this sign somewhere inside your string. What happens is the string will think, like JavaScript will think that the string is ending here. So basically this will just show like this and it will give you an error. So what you need to do is, if you need to use the same thing inside the string that you use at the beginning of defining the string, you need to escape it. Now you could use something like this. So if you know you need something like this in the string, you could define it using this. But it's good to know that you also have this escaping things. So if you need to use it inside a string like this and you have this at the beginning, you just escape it using something like this. And this is an escape, and basically it tells JavaScript that do not think this is a closing bracket for the string, we are escaping it, this is actually a character. So if I console log string here, string, you will see that while sorry, so what's happening here is because I saved my editor actually is changing this thing. So what I will do is, because my editor is changing these things, always to use this kind of codes, I will basically try to put this inside, and you can see again it gives me an error, and when I save nothing happens. So I will just escape it like this. So oh my god, my editor is like really clever. I think it sees that if I use this, it's basically changing it and it's removing. But anyway, this is what they're explaining. You see, you have this escaping thing, and while there is an escaping thing, this thing will not show in your string. It is just used to tell JavaScript that we actually want this to appear in the string, not actually. So we don't want to end the string here. We want to actually use this in the string. So that's how we do it. We escape it and we tell JavaScript, okay, this is just a character, it's not the ending of the string. Okay, so we use a backslash in front of the whatever thing we have to escape. So it says this signal to JavaScript that the following code is not the end of the string, but should appear inside the string. So if you are to print this to the console, you would get Alan said Peter is learning JavaScript. So you would get this quote inside the string, because it was basically, you see, these things are escaped so that they're not ending the string. Use backslashes to assign a string to myString variable so that if you have to print it to the console, you would see this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to declare, well, it's already declared, but it says change it. So I'm going to put this here, that they say that it should say. Okay, let me go a little bit back, and see, it should show this. Okay, so what we want to do is I'm going to put this like it would be in a string. Okay, but as you can see, because there are quotes here, it's like mistakes, right? So what we want to do is escape them with this character that we saw before. We escape it here, we escape it here, we escape it here. So remember, it is before the character to escape it, right? And we escape it here. And as you can see, there is no errors at the moment. Okay? Okay. So it says quoting strings with single quotes. String values in JavaScript may be written with single or double quotes as long as you start and end with the same type of quote. So if you start with this type of code, you need to end with this type of code, right? You can start with this one and end with this one. That's not how it works, okay? Unlike some other programming languages, single and double quotes work the same in JavaScript. So basically, it's just the same thing. It doesn't matter what quotes you use, as long as you use the same one at the beginning and the end. The reason why you might want to use one type of quote over the other is if you want to use both in a string. This might happen if you want to save a conversation in a string and have the conversation in quotes. Another use for it would be saving an A tag with various attributes in code, all within a string. So, for example, if you have this conversation like this, and you have these things, instead of using this thing at the beginning, you just use the other ones like I explained before. You can do that, or you can escape it, whatever is better for you. Okay. However, this becomes a problem if you need to use the outermost quotes within it. Remember, a string has the same kind of quote at the beginning and end, but if you have the same quote somewhere in the middle, the string will stop early and throw an error. So as you can see, this is a good string because why is this a good string? Right, so this is a good string because, as you can see, we're starting with these kinds of quotes at the beginning and at the end, and then we use this one inside, which is allowed because we have these ones at the beginning. So these are allowed, so they don't need to be escaped because they are different than the ones at the beginning and end. So we can use this one without escaping. But then, if inside this one we're using the quotes that we use at the beginning, again, this one needs to be escaped because it is at the beginning, so it needs to be escaped. Otherwise, JavaScript will think that the string is ending. Okay, so make sure you keep these things in mind because you may get confused sometimes why your string is not proper, right? So now they're saying this is bad string because, as you can see here, we're not escaping this quote here, so it just thinks that the string is ending here, and then you have some in the air letters, right, which JavaScript doesn't know what to do with. In the good string above, you can use both quotes safely by using the backslash as an escape character. The backslash should not be confused with the forward slash. They do not do the same thing. So it should be this way, from left top to right bottom. Okay. It says change the provided string to a string with single quotes at the beginning and end and no escape characters. Right now, the A tag in the string uses double quotes everywhere. You will need to change the outer quotes to single quotes so you can remove the escape characters. So let's see exactly what we have here. So it says change single quotes at the beginning and at the end, no escape characters. So they want, instead of these ones, we should have single quotes at the beginning and end. And let's see, this should work because the rest of them inside are just double quotes, so they don't need escaping. Actually, this doesn't need escaping anymore. Before it was escape, but it doesn't need escaping anymore because the first one is not double quote anymore, so we don't need the escaping anymore. We don't need the escaping here, and we don't need the escaping here because we're using different ones inside. All right, and I don't need the escape here. This should be all of it. Okay, did you guys understand that, or do let me know if you are having any problems understanding what I explained. Should be pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions, do let me know. Okay, if not, then I will just go forward. Let's go forward. Okay. Oh man. Okay, it says quotes are not the only characters that can be escaped inside a string. There are two reasons to use escaping characters: to allow you to use characters you may not otherwise be able to type out, such as a carriage return; to allow you to represent multiple quotes in a string without JavaScript misinterpreting what you mean. So this is what we talked about before, and this is something else. So so it says that we learned this one in the previous challenge. So now it shows a few things that can be escaped. So you can escape a single quote, a double quote, and again, if you want to use this in a string, you actually have to basically, because if I use this in a string like this, let's say sum, and then I want to use this will not work because even my editor, it basically removes it because there's nothing for it to be here. So if I actually want this to appear in the string as this, I want it to appear here when I console log it, I need to escape it. So basically I need to use it twice if I actually want it to appear. So now you see when I'm saving, my editor is not removing it anymore because it knows now that I actually want it here. So you will see that now when I console log this, it will not show this twice, it will just show it once. We're just escaping it because it means we want to use it, otherwise it will just think that it is an escape. But if we're escaping the escape, then it means, oh, it's not an escape, it's just this character. Okay, so if I just do this now, you can see that it only appears once. Okay, now you can use this to represent also a new line. So if you want this to go, if you want this string to be something like sum, and then some string to be on a new line, then you can use this. You can use a backslash and an n, and that means a new line. So when you use this, when you console logging, this will be on a line, and this will go on the second line. Okay, so let me console log that, and you can see sum is one line and some string is on another line, and there's a space here because there is a space here. If I put it like this, then you can see that there's no space there. Okay, we just have sum and some string. So you have sum, there is a space after, which we don't really need it. You can just put sum and then go on the next line, some string, and then you can say go on a new line, some other string, right? So then you will have 3 lines. I will just clear it because you guys might not see it anymore. And you can see going on 3 lines, some string, some other string. So this is if you want to go on a new line. Okay, then you have carriage return. This is something that I never used. You have a tab, which basically means going a few spaces to the right. Word boundary and font field. I never used these things in my life. So you can go and find out what they are, but they're not used that much. Then it says assign the following 3 lines of text into the single variable myString using escape sequences. First line, second line, third line. You will need to use escape sequences to insert special characters correctly. we will also need to follow the spacing as it looks above, with no spaces between escape sequences or words. Here is the text with the escape sequences written out. So basically we get this string and we go in here, we put it here, and now we need to basically change this thing, new line, to what we have learned. So basically, let me go a little bit back. Does it have? No. So it just have these things. Okay. So what we want? We want a first line, which is here, as you can see. Then we want to go on a new line because it starts a new line here. Okay. So instead of saying new line here, I'm just using the escape and the n. This will put it on the new line. Then what you need basically is, like I explained about the tab before. The tab means a few spaces. So here you have a tab. So the way you write the tab is an escape and a T, right? So I'm removing this, whatever they put here, and put a tab. Okay, so you have a new line, then you have a tab, and then you have a backslash. And the backslash, again, because the backslash is basically escaping, you have to escape the escape. So I have an escape and then another escape because I actually need the backslash here because it shows in here. Then you have the second line, right? So you have second line, then again you have new line because it's going on the next line. So you use escape and that's it. That should be it. Let's run it. And yeah, that works. Okay. Okay. Hey guys, if anybody is new and you enjoy this content, please give a like so that YouTube will show this content to more people. Now we will be going through all this course in different lives. So even if you are basically familiar with what we're doing now, it will be good for you to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then YouTube will let you know when I'm doing new lives. Also, if you have any questions that are related to JavaScript but not related to this course, you can send them to me and I can try to answer them at the end of the lives. Also, if you know anybody that would enjoy this content and would be helped by it, do let them know. All right, thank you for the like. That is appreciated. Thank you very much. Okay, I will be going back to the course at hand, and it's saying concatenating string with plus operator. In JavaScript, when the plus operator is used with a string value, which a string value is something like this, right? I'm showing here in Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code string, right? These are string. When the plus operator is used with a string value, it is called the concatenation operator. So basically, when you're using the plus with two strings, we're concatenating them, right? You can build a new string out of other string by concatenating them together. My name is Alan plus I concatenate, and this will give you a string that says my name is Alan, I concatenate. So I will exemplify in here what that means. I will say something like let sentence equals my name is. So this is a string, and I'm concatenating another string, and I will say Marian, right? Now if I actually console long sentence, what you will get will be just a string that says my name is Marian. But at the moment, you can see that when I am console logging it, you get something like my name is Marian, because basically it's concatenating immediately and there is no space here. So I need to put a space here if I want to have space between my name is and Marian. So if I do now, it says my name is Marian, and that's how you concatenate strings, right? This can also be something like this, where you have let name equals Marian, so you store the string in a variable. So that variable will have the value of Marian, and you say let beginning beginning of sentence equals my, not like that, like that, my name is, right, space. And then if I say let sentence equals, and I say beginning of sentence, right, which is beginning of sentence has that value, which is exactly what I have here. So beginning of sentence plus name, then again this will be doing the same thing as I don't know why name is deprecated. Oops, I think I think name is actually, JavaScript actually has some reserved words, so I didn't know that a name is a reserved word. So what I will say my name instead. Okay, my name. So I will put here my name. Okay. So now what's happening here, because beginning of sentence had this variable actually has this value inside, and my name has this value inside. When I add them or concatenate them, then sentence will be again what we had before. Okay. So we're basically concatenating values that we have in variables. Again, you see my name is Marian. Okay. And they say watch out for spaces, because you need spaces, otherwise JavaScript will not put spaces for you. It just does what you say, what you ask JavaScript to do, that's what it will do. It will not think for you. Okay. So it says var our string equals I come first space inside the string plus I come second. So our string will be I come first space I come second. Now it says build my string from the string, this is the start and this is the end, using the plus operator. So var my string equal the, and I use strings, this is the start dot space and then plus, and I already have a space here so I don't need a space at the beginning, this is the end, and dot, right? So that's it. It will concatenate them and it will give us what you want. Okay, let's run it and go further. Okay, concatenating strings with the plus equal operator. So again, like we saw before, if you are here, instead of saying my like instead of basically if you have a string like this, let my name equals Marian, and you actually want to add something to the string, because my name is actually Marian Silviu Talmasel, right? Instead of saying, like, you can say my name, which my name now has value of Marian, equals my name plus, and I add whatever more I want, and what I want to add more is one space, because I don't want to go immediately after Marian with the rest of the name, so I put one space. Or I can say Marian, my name plus space, because I want a space, and then whatever is the rest of my name. So plus, because you can do plus plus plus. You don't have just one plus. You can put more pluses if you want. So I say my name plus space plus, and then I put the rest of my name, which is Silvio Talmasel, right? But for this purpose, I will remove the space from here and just put it inside this string at the beginning. Because what we want to say is we want to add Silvio Talmasel to the value of my name. And the way you do it, you say my name equals my name plus Silvio Talmasel, the same we did with numbers. But the same we did with numbers, we don't have to write all this. We can basically remove my name from the right side and we just say my name plus, so we put the plus before the equal, and then we just put whatever we add to my name, and this will be the same. So now if I console log my name, it will show you Marian Silviu Talmasel, right? Because basically this means my name gets the value of my name plus Silviu Talmasel, okay? So it says build my string over several lines by concatenating these two strings. This is the first sentence and this is the second sentence. using the plus equals operator. Use the plus equal operator similar to how it is shown in the editor. So the same how it's shown here, like here, right? Well, in the editor or probably here. I don't know what they mean here. Anyway, it says start by assigning the first string to my string, then add on the second string by using this way of adding, right? The way that we exemplified here. So say var my string equal, and we say this is the first sentence dot, and was it a space? Was it a space in there? Yeah, there is a space, right? So we add a space as well, and then we say my string, and remember we can put a plus before the equal, plus equals, and then what you add is this is the second sentence. I think they said, right? This is the second sentence. So you say my string, which is this, plus equals this is the second sentence. Okay, and that's it. Let's run this and it works. Okay, so I see that 3 people are still watching, so hopefully they're actually watching and they're not just leaving the video in the background. But even that, it's okay with me. The video will still go live, so you can watch it later on. If you're not watching, I would appreciate if people are letting me know if they're still watching and if they're following along. Okay, so I will be going back to the course. It says constructing string with variables, which is something we had simplified before. I showed you how you can have the string in variables, and then you can add those 2 variables by basically saying this variable plus this variable. Okay, sometimes you'll need to build a string madlib style. I don't know what that means, but let's go. By using the concatenation operator plus, you can insert 1 or more variables into the string you are building. So basically you can have something like var our name, which holds the value of Freecodecamp, and then you say var our string equals this string, which is hello our name is. Then you can use this variable, say plus our name, which holds this, plus how are you, right? So you can basically kind of combine it, use strings and variables which have strings and again strings. So here it says set my name to a string equal to your name, which is my name in this case, and build my string with my name between the string my name is and I am well, right? So let's put here var my name equals Marian, okay, and then we will say we use this string which they said my name is and I am well, right? So we have my name is, so we say my string equals my name is plus my name, so we use this variable, plus, and we have a space here because we want a space after my name, and we say and I am well, exclamation point. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, 25%, not bad. By the way, guys, this is just the first module of a big course. We have basic JavaScript, and then we get about 7 or 8 more modules. So we will be learning a lot if you're sticking through with the lives. Okay, so it says appending variables to strings. Just as we can build a string over multiple lines out of string literals, we can also append variables to a string using the plus equal operator. So this basically they're just explaining something that we learned before. So basically you have a variable that holds a string, then you have another variable that holds another string, and then you want to change this variable, you want to add to the end of this variable, you want to add this variable. So in here you have Freecodecamp is, but you want it to become Freecodecamp is, and you basically want to add at the end the value of this adjective, right? So you just say our string, you would say our string equals our string plus an adjective, but we remember that we can just say plus equal when we're adding something to itself, right? So we say our string plus equals an adjective, and then our string will become Freecodecamp is awesome, right? So it says set some adjective to a string of at least 3 characters and append it to my string using the plus equal operator. So we say here var some adjective is amazing, right? Oops, guys, the live may fall down because actually this software that I am using is actually saving on drive as well, and I don't have that much space. Let me just check how much space is left. Get info. I still have about 3 gigas, so it should be okay for how much we will be on, hopefully. So I will be going back to this, but if the live is gonna fall, do stay on and check if I'm putting another live on, or maybe if the live is falling this time, we will just continue next time. But it should be fine because I still have 3 gigabytes left. So basically, we have an adjective that we made it amazing, right? And then we have my string equals learning to code is space something. So now we just want to use the plus equal way that we have learned and say my string plus equals, and we say some adjective. So that means we give the value to my string, we give the value of my string plus some adjective, right? Some adjective. So let's run it. Okay, 26%. How are you guys? Are you sticking in there? Okay, I will continue. Very quiet in here, very quiet. Hopefully, as long as I'm making more lives, and I will continue doing this for a long time, more people will find out about this. If you know anybody that would enjoy this kind of content, do let them know, and then we can like basically have more people here, have questions coming in. And I will also make lives about doing projects live, so you can basically kind of see how you go about creating a project from beginning to end. Sometimes we will play with CSS and so on, but I will go back at the moment to this course. So we have in JavaScript we have some methods for different data types. Like for string we have length, right? So it says find the length of a string. So the data type string has a method that you can use on it, which is, or a property which is called length, and that will give you basically the length of the string, how many characters are in the string. So it says you can find the length of a string value by writing length after the string variable or string literal. So a string like this, Alan Peter, that length, it will give you 10 because you have 4 letters here and you have 5 letters here, which is 9, and you have the space, which is a character as well. So in total you have 10 characters. For example, if we created a variable var first name equals Charles, we could find out how long the string, so we could find out how long the string that is inside first name is by using first name length, and that will give you the length of the string that is inside the first name variable. So let's imagine that we have a string that will start out in your program, will start out empty, and you will just add its value of the name at some point. And also at some point through your program you want to find out if my name already has a value or it is not, or it does not have a value because it was not assigned yet. So the way you can say that is, I can say something like this. Now we're going a little bit far if you're just into JavaScript, but we have all kinds of conditions that we can say. So I can say something like this. If, and I'm checking here the length which we're learning here, I'm checking the length of the string that is inside my name. So I say if my name length equals, And when I say equals here, I'm using 3 equals because I'm actually checking. It's basically a condition. I'm checking if this is equal to this. I'm not trying to give to my name length the value of 0. I'm trying to check if the two things are equal, 0 and the length of my name. So I'm saying if these two things are equal, right, I'm saying console long. So I'm writing in the console, name was not assigned yet. And then I'm saying here, else. So if actually, so if this condition is not true, if these two are not equals, it means that actual name has a length. So we have put something, a name into it. So else I want to say console log, and I will say in the console log, I will put a string and I will say the value. No, I will say your name is space, and I will say plus. I'm doing here a concatenation of string that we just learned before, and I will say my name. So basically here I'm concatenating your name is space with the value that is in here. So now if I run this, let me clear it so you can see it at the beginning. If I run this, you get name was not assigned yet, because it's checking this condition. It's finding that the length of this is 0, and the length is 0 because there's nothing inside it, and then this evaluates to true because this is 0 and this is 0, so 0 equals 0, so it's writing name was not assigned yet. Now if I change this to actual, if now I go and say here my name equals Marian, so I'm changing the value to actually a name, then if I'm running the same program, now you get your name is Marian, and I actually have here this thing again, so that's why I'm getting it twice. So let me clear, and you get your name is Marian because it's checking is the length equals 0. Now it's not equal 0. The length that you get from here is actually 6. So it's not doing this, it's doing this. So it's saying your name is Marian. Now you can also do something like this. I can remove this, or I can comment it, because we have learned about commenting. If you're commenting something, your program will not count it, right? So if you want to basically remove something from your program, just for a while you can comment it, and then JavaScript will not count it, right? So if I say here console log, and I say my name length, then you get, at the moment, you just get 0 because there's nothing inside it. But then if I change my name to be Marian, and I run again, my name length, you get 6, because it's basically going and finding the length, or how many characters are in that string. Okay, so that's what they're saying. For example, if we created a variable, we already went through this. Use the length property to count the number of characters in the last name variable and assign it to last name length. So last name variable, last name length equals 0 at the beginning, then you have last name, and we want last name length to become last name, and we give the length, we use the length property, right? And we run it, and that's it. Just checking if there's any questions on this. There are not any questions at the moment, so I'm assuming you guys are understanding, or you already know about this stuff. So we will push through. If you have any questions at any point, do let me know. All right, thank you very much. And if you're new here, I see there are four people watching now. If you're new here and you enjoyed the content and you want more people to find out about this live so we can get more questions, please do give a like. YouTube will push the content more if more likes are on the actual live. Okay, thank you very much, and I will go back to the actual course. Okay, I will clear this in case we want to simplify something else. So it says use bracket notation to find the first character in a string. So basically in a string you can use bracket notation to find out the character at some position, right? So it says bracket notation is a way to get a character at a specific index. So we have indexes within a string, and I will explain how indexes work. most modern programming languages like JavaScript don't start counting at 1 like humans do. They start at 0. So basically, indexes start counting as 0, not at 1. And I will exemplify, after we read this, I will exemplify here in Visual Studio, and I will show you what that means. For example, the character at index 0 in the word Charles is C. So basically the index of this character is 0. It's not 1, it is 0. That's how we start in JavaScript. So if var first name equals Charles, you can get the value of the first letter of the string by using first name, which is the variable, and then you use bracket notation and saying 0. So let's exemplify this here. I will say let my name equals Maria, right? And then I will say console log, and I will say my name, or I will say let first letter in name equal, and then I will say my name of 0, and then I will console log first letter in name, right? And you can see if I console log that, you get an N. And if I say second letter in name, you have to say my name of 1, because like I said, it starts from 0 and you increase it from there. So basically, if you want to find the second letter, you basically have to if you want to find the n letter in a string or n character, you have to look at index n minus 1, because they start from 0. Okay, so if I console log this now, okay, I'm getting an error. First letter in name, because I'm consoling. So basically, you can look at errors that you get, and you can figure out a lot of times from the error. It says reference error, first letter in name is not defined. So what this is saying, that I'm trying to console log first letter in name, or I'm trying to do something with it, but it is not defined. And now it is not defined anymore, because before I had first letter in name, but now I have second letter in name. So instead of consoling that, I have to console log second letter in name, right? So that was the error. So let me clear this and show that. So you have now A, because that is the second name in the in my name, the second letter, right? It is A, right? So let's exemplify how this works. Like I said, indexes start from 0, and like they say, right? So you have the index at first letter, which is M, you get 0, then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So there is a way. What if you want to access the last letter in the last letter in the string? The way you would do that, you would say something like let last letter. And how do you actually find the last letter? Basically, you need the length of the, because if it was actually starting from 1, then the index of the last letter would be actually the length of the string. So to access the last letter, you will say let last letter equals my name, and in the brackets you would put my name length, right? Because you would say, okay, if the string is 6 characters long, then the last letter is the 6th one. So you say last letter equals my name of the length of the string, which is 6. But we know that it starts from 0. So to actually access the last letter, you say let last letter equals my name length minus 1. So the index of the last letter is actually the length of the string minus 1. So if I console log now last letter, then we are getting n, which is the last letter, right? So we're starting from 0, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Okay. So let's go back to what I say. So var first name equals Charles, var first letter equal first name of 0, and you get C. Now they're saying use bracket notation to find the first character in the last name variable and assign it to first letter of name. We already did something like this here. Try looking at the example above if you get stuck. So for our first letter of name, they have it empty. Then you have last name, and then you have last name, and what you have to do is use 0 because that's the first index, right? So let's run it, and that's it. Here's looking at your code. Here's looking at your code. I love the things that they put here. They making you feel like a superhero, even when you're on the at the beginning. Okay, I was just checking if there are any questions. No questions at the moment, which there haven't been any questions for a while, so it does make me wonder if anybody is watching, but somebody will be watching at some point in the future, so I'm continuing for at least 20 minutes more on this live, at least. Okay, so understand string immutability. In JavaScript, string, now this is really important to remember. In JavaScript, string values are immutable, which means they cannot be altered once created. So while you can say something like, so you can say something like, if you define the variable, as a let, you can change it after, but the way you would change the string that's in there, you wouldn't actually change the string that's inside. You would create another string by using the string that's already inside. So strings are immutable. You cannot change them. You can just change the value that is in the variable that holds the string. So if you want to say something like my name equals my name plus space Silvio, what this does is actually changing the value that stays inside the variable by name, but it's not changing the string, it is creating another string. So what that means, because they're immutable, you cannot say something like mine, because my name is 0 at the moment, it's M, and let's say you want to change it with S. You cannot do that. So you cannot say something like, I'm trying to access my name of 0, which is M, and I want to give it the value of S. That's not possible because the strings are immutable. So if I actually do this, I should be getting an error. And let's see what kind of error we're getting. We're getting last letter. I'm trying. No, this is not an error I want. Let's just say console log my name, right? I'm just saying my name here. So let me clear. And you can see I'm not getting an error, but nothing happened because I cannot mutate the string. The string cannot be changed. You can just alter whatever is in my name by saying my name equals my name plus something. You cannot access a value at some index and change it because the string that's inside it is immutable, so you cannot do that. Okay. For example, the following code var myString equals Bob, which is exactly what we exemplified, and then myString equals 0, myString of 0 equals J will not work. Cannot change the value of myString to job because the content of my string cannot be altered. Note that does not mean that myString cannot be changed. It can be changed the way I showed you before, just that the individual characters of a string literal cannot be changed. The only way to change my string will be to assign it with a new string like this. So var my string equal Bob or var my string equal job, right? My string equals job. So you basically change the string that's inside it, but you cannot mutate the string. You can just change with another string, right? So it says correct the assignments to my string so it contains the string value of hello world using the approach shown in the example above. So at the moment it is hello world, but you want it to be hello world. So you cannot do that. You cannot change it like that. So you just say my string equals hello world. We just change whatever is in there instead of trying to change the particular letter. So let's run it. Should have a value of hello world. What did I do wrong? I wrote hello world. Okay, so that was the mistake. Okay, so let's go forward. I do hope I'm not going too fast. So do let me know, guys, if at any point you want something explaining more, or if anything is okay, you can just watch and give a like if you didn't give a like already, so YouTube pushes the content more. I would really appreciate that. Anyway, so let's go forward. It says use bracket notation to find the nth character in a string. So you want to find, for example, the third character, and I simplified above. If you want to find the third character, you have to access the character. So if you want to access the nth character, you want to access the index n minus 1, because if they start from 0, then that's how you find the character at the nth character. You access n minus 1 index, right? So it says here, remember that computers start counting at 0, so the first character is actually the 0th character. And it says var first name equals ada, var second letter of first name, which we had simplified above, equals first name of 1, right? Let's try to set third letter of last name to equal the third letter of last name variable using bracket notation. Try looking at the example above if you get stuck. We don't need to, because we already know we simplified above. So it says var last name equals Lovelace, and then we have third letter of last name. So to access the third letter, imagine 3 is the n. So we want to access the character at n. We have to say last name of n minus 1. 3 minus 1 is 2, so we're saying last name of 2. So to find the third letter, we access the second index. So we run it. Okay. So let me simplify fast here. I will say here that my name equal Marian, and we say nth. Let me say let nth letter equal, and I will say 7, right? And then I will say, actually I will say something like let n equals 0, right? Then I will say let nth letter equals, and I will say my name, and I have to access with bracket notation. So the nth letter will be my name of n minus 1, like we said above. So I say here my name of n minus 1. So now I want to console log nth letter, right? Now this will give us an error actually, because we cannot actually find the 0th character in a string, because it doesn't exist. We want to find the first character or the second character. So this would start from 1. So if we want to find the first letter, we say n equals 1, and then here we will have dynamically 1 minus 1 equals 0. So this will become my name of 0. So now if I run this, you get n, because this will become 0. So let's say we want to now find the fifth letter, which is a, this a, right? We just put this n to be 5, and then we don't have to do anything else, because this is taking care of itself. 5 minus 1 will become 4, and then we find out what my name of 4 is, which will be a, right? So let me clear this, and we get a, right? And again, a could also be the second letter. So if I put here 2, nothing will change, except the a that we're getting is actually this letter. So let me just change to 3, so you can see that we get an R, right? So we get the R, right? Okay, I'll clear this, and we will go forward with the course. Yeah, was just checking if somebody asked any questions. How are you guys doing? Are you following with the course? I'm not getting any comments, so I don't know if the comments are not working, or people are just not writing, or just not watching. But I'm just going along with the course, and I will see where this goes. Okay. Says use bracket notation to find the last character in a string. And if you were here before, I already exemplified how you find the last character in a string by bracket notation. You just get the length of the string and you remove 1 from it, because it starts from 0, you have to remove 1 to get the index of the last letter. For example, if var first name equals Charles, you can get the value of the last letter of the string by using first name, which is the variable name, of first name length minus 1, which is what we exemplified, right? So we don't have to really read all this, because we already talked about this. I will just go to the code and I will say last name of last name length minus 1. Okay, and we run it. So guys, at this moment, if you can just give me 1 minute, I will grab a glass of water, because my voice is starting to get so just give me 1 minute and I'll be back. Okay guys, so before I get back to the course, I want to ask if anybody is new here and you didn't already click the like button. I'll appreciate that, so that YouTube can push this content more. And if you do want to be notified in the future of any lives I'm doing, click that subscribe button and the notification bell, and YouTube will let you know immediately I schedule a new live. We're doing all kinds of different lives about React, about HTML, CSS, doing projects. But we will be doing a lot of lives where we're going to this course at the moment from Freecodecamp. So I will be getting back to the course now. We're probably going to be doing a lot more, and I will close this live in about 20 minutes to half an hour. So let's go further. End to last. So use bracket notation to find the end to last character in a string. You can use the same principle we just used to retrieve the last character in a string to retrieve the end to last character. So before we're going to that, instead of trying to explain what they're saying here, right? What they're saying here, that you can access basically the end to last. So basically the second if you want to access the second from the end, so instead of accessing the last one, you want to access the one before last. What you want to do is basically access my name of, and if you wanted to access the last, you would access my name of my name length minus 1, right? Because that's how you access the last. But if you want to access the second from the second from the end, then you would want to subtract one more from this length, right? Because you wouldn't want my name length minus 1. You want minus 2 to actually get the second one. So what you would do is my name length, and because to access the second from the end, it would be my name minus 2, right? Then you can say, because it's the second from the end and you actually have to have 2, it's basically the same. So it would be my name length minus n, right? So if I say nth letter from n, and we say that the n is 2, so it's basically the second from n, right? I don't know why this is. So basically a, which is the second from end, so we want that one. We have my name length, which is 6 minus 2. So we are basically accessing my name of 4, which if you go like this with the index 0, 1, 2, 3, and this is 4, right? So this is the formula from end from end, right? So if I actually console log this now, sorry about that. New terminal. So if I actually run this program now, node free, you can see that we get the A. And if we want the third one from end, we just put entry here, and it's the same formula, right? And you get the I, right? So which is the third from the end. Okay. So for example, you can get the value of the third to last letter of our first name equals char using by using first name of first name length minus t, which is exactly what we said. Third to last, you just basically remove from length the value of n, right? So let's go to the code, and we just say last name of it says second to last, so we have to say last name length minus 2, because we want the second to last, right? So let's run it and then go forward. Okay. Hey, we got somebody new. Hello. Say hello in the chat if you want, and if you enjoy this type of content. It is JavaScript Maximum. We are going to a JavaScript course on Freecodecamp, and if anybody has questions about JavaScript, I'm also answering those. But at the moment, we're going from beginning to end on this course. This is the first live in the series of going to this course. So I really appreciate if you give a like. Well, I mean, only if you want, if you're learning JavaScript, but it would help push this live to more people, and it would be really appreciated. All right, thanks for watching, and let me know if you want to know anything more. All right, so going back to this, it's saying word blanks. We will now use our knowledge of strings to build a Mad Lib style word game where we're calling word blanks. You will create an optionally humorous fill in the blanks style sentence. In a Mad Lib, thank you for the like. In a Mad Libs game, you are provided sentences with some missing word like nouns, verb. Thank you for the like again. Thank you very much. It does help pushing the content more, so more people will be finding out about this live, and we can create a community where people ask questions, I answer the questions, and you might get some value as well. So in Mad Libs game, you are provided sentences with some missing words like nouns, verb, adjective, and adverbs. You then fill in the missing pieces with words of your choice in a way that the completed sentence makes sense. consider this sentence. It was really something, and we something ourselves something, right? This sentence has three missing pieces: an adjective, a verb, and an adverb. And we can add words of our choice to complete it. We can then assign the completed sequence to a variable as follows: var sentence equal it was really hot and we laughed ourselves silly plus that, right? In this challenge, we provide you with a noun, a verb, an adjective, and an adverb. You need to form a complete sentence using words of your choice along with the words we provide. You will need to use the string concatenation operator, which we have learned about before, to build a new string using the provided variables my noun, my adjective, my verb, and my adverb. You will then assign the formed string to the word blanks variable. You should not change the word assigned to the words assigned to the variables. You will also need to account for spaces in your strings, because remember, JavaScript is not reading your mind. You have to put the spaces where you need spaces to be, so that the final sentence has spaces between all the words. The result should be a complete sentence. Also, he's saying a few more rules here, but I think we understood what they want us. They want us to use the variables that they give us with some string, some adverb, some noun, and create a sentence that makes sense with it, with spaces after every word, right? So we have my noun, which is dog, my adjective, big, my verb equals run, so my verb is run, and my adverb is quickly. So we basically have to use all of them. Does it say in, I don't think it says, does it say in an order? Today using viewing. I don't think you should not change the value, you should not, word branch should contain all the words, right? So we don't need to have them in a certain order, we can put them in what order we want, and we have to make a sentence by using strings and these variables. So I will say something like that. I will say a string that is my and space, and then I will say, and I need a space because this is a word and I want space after the word. So I will say plus, and here I will say my noun, which is this variable which has dog in it. So I will say my dog. So using here my noun. So this will be at the moment my dog. Then I will say plus, I will open another string and I will put a space because after dog I want a space. And then I will say is, which at the moment is my dog is. I will put another space because I need a space. And then I will add my adjective, which my adjective has big. So it will say my dog is big, right? So put here my adjective, right? Now I want a dot after. Does it say that it should be only a sentence? I don't know if it's, okay, I will try to make it only a sentence. So my name is, at the moment it's saying my dog is big, because you have my noun, dog, and my adjective big. My dog is big, so then I say another string, plus, and I make another string, I put a space because I want a space after the word, and, sorry about that, and it, space, and then I say it, and I will say run, it run, right? So here I just use my verb, right? My verb, and then I say, I want to say, and it ran quickly. So I say plus my verb, which says run, and then I say plus space, because I want a space between these two words, plus space, and then plus my adverb, which is quickly, right? And then I will say plus, and I will use a dot because I want to close the sentence, right? So let's say if I did any mistake, I did not, so that was correct. I will just check the. Hello, GS Noob Steel. Hello, Coleman. Welcome to the live. If you didn't give a like or welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. And if you didn't give a like already, I would appreciate one, as YouTube will push the content to more people like you who would probably enjoy this content. Also, if you want to see more of my lives in the future and you want YouTube to let you know about them, do subscribe and hit the bell icon if you did not subscribe already. Okay, so maximum says this. Let me check what it says. My plus my noun. So maximum, you actually in the first string that you're using, which is yes, Coleman, it will be also saved. I'm going to be saving all the lives so people can go back to the later one if they can't watch at the moment. So maximum, you're saying there my plus my noun is plus. In the my string that you have at the beginning, you don't have any space after the my. So when you add the my noun, it will be basically together with the noun. So you need a space after the my. But you are getting what is happening. You basically just concatenate things. You just have to remember to put the spaces. Yeah, so basically you got most of it right. You just need to remember the spaces. Yeah, it would be really nice if you keep up with the lives and we can learn more JavaScript together. Now remember, if you have any questions, do ask them here and I will try to answer them. I have been working with JavaScript for a year and a half now, so I do know some, but I'm going to this course again to basically help some people and also learn some concept that I may not know. Okay, so I will be going back to the so somebody said something else. Yes, I know, but I'm using photo and it's difficult to write. Oh, yeah, that's fine. I was just saying phone, right? Um, so yeah, that's fine. You have got the concept. That is the concept that we're using in this example. So now they are going to. Let me just get a sip of water. So now they are going into arrays, which basically arrays are collections of values, and these collections of values can hold basically inside this collection. You can have different data types. You can have numbers inside. So an array. Before we're going to they are already showing here, but an array is something like this. When you put in a variable, an array is declared like this. You have two brackets like this, and inside this you have more variables. So you can have variables that are numbers. You can have different data types. It doesn't have to be the same data type. So you can have 1, 2, 8, 10. Then you can have maybe a string, which is Marian, right? And then you can have maybe another number, and then maybe you can have another array. You can actually have an array inside an array, and so on. They're basically a collection of values, right? But anyway, we will follow the course and we will see what they're saying and we will exemplify. So with JavaScript array variables, we can store several pieces of data in one place. You start an array declaration with an opening square bracket, which is this one, right? End it with a closing square bracket, which is this one, and put a comma between each entry. So you basically use a comma to tell JavaScript, okay, so this is one element. I'm using a comma, so I'm going to the next element, and so on. It's saying modify the new array, my array, so that it contains both a string, so so a data type that is a string and a number in that order. So you want to have a string and then a number. So let's get into the code. So we want in here to have a string. So I will put Marian, which is a string, and then a number, something like that, right? So we'll run it, and this will work, right? So just checking is, yeah. Let's go further. No more questions at the moment. Now it says nest one array within another array. So like I exemplify above, you can have in an array another array which has more values inside. So you can have an array of arrays, and those arrays can have other arrays inside, and it can go on forever when you get like a complicated data structure that you can have to work with, right? This is called a multi-dimensional array, right? It says create a nested array called myArray. So how do we create a nested array? We have the array that starts with bracket and with bracket, and we have to put some nested array, so we have to have others array inside. I'm going to start an array and end an array. I'm going to say in here I want 1, 3, and 4. Then I use a comma because that's how I separate elements in an array and make another array that maybe has strings, Marian, and maybe a number, right? So here we have an array of arrays, right? So let's run it. Spool up the FTL drive. We're going fast. Okay. I'm just checking because I don't want to miss questions if people are actually asking questions. But no question at the moment, so I will continue going through this. I think after 10 more minutes going through this, I will stop going through this course in this live unless you guys want to go more. If you guys want to go more, we can go more. I can be here for at least another hour. But if not, after 10 minutes, I will stop going to the course at this point. I will have another 10 minutes where if you guys have any questions for me, I have been learning development for about a year and a half now, and I have been working as a developer for a year, working with JavaScript, React, HTML, and CSS and stuff like that. So I can basically answer questions about my journey and stuff like that if you guys have any questions. And also you can tell me about yourselves if you want. So let's go. I said access array data with indexes. Now the way we access data in an array, which is basically an element at basically the end element is the same as we do it with strings. The indexes still start at 0. So before going to this, I will exemplify. You remember how we show the strings start with indexes 0? If we have an array that's, we say const numbers, and we put an array and we have these elements inside, we have 3 elements, and we want to access the first element. The way we access it, we will say let element equals, and we will say numbers, which is the variable name of 0, because we remember indexes in JavaScript start from 0. So now if I console log element and I run the program, you get 1, because this is the value at the index 0. If you want the second element, again, the second element is end element. The end element is basically 2. Then we have to basically get n minus 1, which 2 minus 1, it is 1. So we access number of 1, and then we will get 7, right? So we get 7. And to access the last one, you just say numbers of numbers length minus 1, the same as we did with string, right? So then we will get 8, which is the last one, right? So let's go back here and say we can access the data inside arrays using indexes. Array indexes are written in the same bracket notation that strings use, except that instead of specifying a character, they are specifying an entry in the array. Like strings, array use 0-based indexing, which means it starts from an index of 0. So the first element in an array has an index of 0. And I exemplify this here. There shouldn't be any spaces between the array name and the square brackets, so you shouldn't have something like this where you have the variable and then you shouldn't put a space like that. It needs to be stuck against each other, right? So they ask us here, although JavaScript is able to process this correctly, this may confuse other programmers reading the code. So it says that JavaScript would be able to actually process it correctly, but it's not a good way to write it, right? So it says create a variable called myData and set it to equal the first value of my array using bracket notation. So again, this we're going to the same exercise that we have gone for strings. So it says myData. So we say my var. Oh, they want us to write here. So var my data equals, and they want us to store in here the first element of my array. So we say my array of 0. Okay. So let's run this, and it works. Okay, so people are leaving now, so probably I don't know, people are busy, so we will end in about 5 minutes. I will give 5 to 10 minutes for questions if anybody has some. If not, I will close the live for now, and we will continue next time. So it says, now comparing arrays to strings, you can actually change an element in an array uh, by um, by basically if you use something like our array of 0 and you exemplify this is the first element, you can change this value right now. While strings are immutable, arrays are mutable, so you can access its value and change it, right? So it says unlike strings, the entries of arrays are mutable and can be changed freely. So if I say, so if I console log here, if I console log numbers as it is now, you can see we get the array that we have declared. But I can change this, I can change an element in here by accessing it. So for example, the second element, numbers of 1, and give it another value, and I will give it a value which is a string, for example, right? So now when I console log numbers uh, of 1, which is the second element, has been changed to Marian. So if I clear this and run again, you can see that. Let me clear this because I wrote something there. So you can see 1 is still 1, 8 is still 8, but the second element has been changed to Marian because arrays are mutable while strings are immutable. Again, it says there shouldn't be any spaces between the array name and the square brackets like array of 0. Although Javascript Variable, the same thing like it said before. So it says modify the data stored at index 0 of my array to the value of 45. So what we want to say is my array of 0 equals, so by equal it means we are assigning 45. Okay, now they're saying access multidimensional array with indexes. One way to think of a multidimensional array is an array of arrays. When you use brackets to access your array, the first set of brackets refer to the entries in the outermost array, so in the big array, and the second pair of brackets refers to the array that is accessed inside the first array, right? So it says each additional pair of brackets refers to the next level of entries inside. So we're basically going deep from array to array and to array. And I will exemplify this. I will basically put this like this. And here the first element, instead of being a number, I will make it another array. So I will make an array within an array. And here I will say Marian and maybe 5, right? So we have an array that has an array as an element, then a number and a number. So now if I console log numbers of 1, numbers of 1, when you have the first set of brackets, it refers to elements in the outermost array, which is this one. So numbers of 1 will be another first element which is in the array, the second element, 7. So if I do this, we get 7, right? If I do numbers of 0 is the array, right? So we will get, oh, I didn't save. So we get the array. Now if we want to actually access something inside this array, what we have to do is put another pair of brackets after the first set of brackets. So if I want to access the first element in this array, then I have to do numbers of 0, and now I'm inside this array, and then I put another pair of brackets, and I'm saying of 0 again because I'm accessing the first element in the first element of this array. So numbers of 0 is going into array, and then I'm using another 0 to access the first element here. and if I console log this, it will be Marian, right? We get here Marian. If I put here 1, it will get a second element in this array, so it will be 5, right? And so on. I hope you guys have understood that, if you don't know about it already. So it said array of 3 equals this, right? So array of 3 is basically the fourth element, which the fourth element is this. So array of 3 is this array. Array of 3 0 is array of 3 is this one, and then you get 0, and 0 is the first element in this array. So the first element is this array, so it shows you this array here. Now array of 3 0 and 1, what's happening? You get the third element in the outermost array, then you get to the first element in this array, which is this one, and then you go to the second element in this array, which is this one, so you get 11, right? Again, it's same thing. There shouldn't be any spaces between the array name and the square brackets like array 0 0, and even this array 0 0 is not allowed. And again, it's saying the same thing. Although JavaScript is able to proceed correctly, this may confuse other programmers reading your code. And then it's saying, using bracket notation, select an element from my array such that my data is equal to 8. So basically what we need to do is access 8. So the way we access 8 here, we need to change this. So what we want to do is go to not the first one, not the second one, the third element in the outermost array. To access the third element, we need to use the index of 2. So we put here 2. And then we have to access the second element in this array that we are at the moment. So again, to access the second element, we have to use 2 minus 1, which is 1, because this is the index of 1. So we're going at the index of 2 in the first array, the outermost array, and then at the index of 1 in that array. And that's how we get the value of 8. Okay? Okay. So at the moment, only 2 people watching. I would appreciate if you guys let me know who you are, if you are actually watching and you don't just have it in a window. If you are here, do say hello, and if you have any questions, do let me know. Otherwise, I will be closing this live in 2 minutes, and hopefully I will see you next time, and we will continue to this JavaScript journey. So do let me know. I will drink some coffee in the meantime and see if there are any questions coming in. Roxana, are you still here? I don't know if you're still here or it is a bit late where you are. Roxana is one of my colleagues from university, and she is learning web development as well. She's doing very well, and she wanted to join on the lives. I'm not sure if she's still here yet. So I just wanted to say hello, Roxana, if you are. So I see somebody else join again. We are closing the live in about 2 minutes now, the first live. If you are new here and you haven't watched before and you haven't heard, please give a like to the live if you can. YouTube will push this to more people so they will know about this kind of live. I'm doing these lives 2 to 3 times a week, where at this moment we're going through a JavaScript course on Freecodecamp, and if people have any questions, I'm answering them. and we will also be going at some point doing coding challenges. We will be doing some projects. There will be a lot of different lives. So if you're interested in this kind of life, I'd love to see you next time as well. Alright, so people seem to not be here anymore. So at this point, I will close this live. Hopefully more people will join next time. And if you guys know of anybody that would enjoy this kind of content, to make sure to share it with them so we can have more people and have an interaction here. It is a little bit kind of lonely to just talk to myself. So yeah, if you do enjoy this kind of content and want to create more of a community, I would appreciate share with people that are learning JavaScript. So yeah, this is it for today. I hope people got some value, and I will see you next time if you can join. All right, thank you. Bye bye for now.